Welcome to Nurse Burnout Solutions, the show that empowers you to beat stress, reclaim your energy, and discover lasting fulfillment in your nursing career. I'm your host, Betty McLean. I'm a nurse with over 20 years of experience, and I'm also a certified life and certified burnout coach. I'm here to share expert insights with you, a lot of practical tools, and some inspiring stories. So join me as we navigate the challenges of a career in healthcare, and I help you find renewed purpose and resiliency, one episode at a time. Welcome back to the podcast. So this week and next week, I'm going to talk about the stages of burnout, the way I categorize them, based on my certifications and based on my research. And we're going to talk about a little bit about what to do about it, each of the stages, and why it's important to know what's going on when you're seeing these behaviors in yourself. That being said, I am not a therapist. I am not a counselor. And if you are having symptoms or seeing things in yourself that is overwhelming, if you are having symptoms that keep you from getting to work every day and interacting with your family, I would encourage you to seek out a licensed therapist to get any diagnosis that might be helpful. Also, if you're having a lot of PTSD symptoms, really want you to seek a counselor. If you're not sure if life coaching is for you versus therapy, you are welcome to contact me and we can talk about what you're dealing with, and I can help you decide whether you are appropriate to work with a life coach or a burnout coach versus encouraging you to, you need to go therapy route. So everything I'm going to share is based on, again, my research, my certifications, and really the whole point of the next couple podcasts is just to give you a sense of what is normal in burnout and give you a little bit of hope that you are not broken, you're just hurt, and there is a way to heal from this. So back in, I believe, the 70s, a psychologist actually did a bunch of research around burnout and actually identified 12 stages of burnout. It's really solid research, but I took that and for my own purpose, I basically just broke burnout into 4 stages. So we're going to talk about those 4 stages based on that work and the work of my certification. So in the first stage of burnout, some of the things you're going to be seeing in yourself are a compulsion to prove yourself. You're going to find yourself working harder, and you will start to neglect your own needs in favor of that working harder, proving yourself. Often the very first beginning stages of burnout look like you're just an amazing team player and look like and can feel like you just want to be the best employee you can be. And you see yourself as very competent. You are generally very competent. And so you're like, I will take on that responsibility. I will take on that responsibility because you want to be seen as competent, valuable, worthy of the respect and the approval of your boss, your peers, etc. It generally comes from a place of, because this can look like just you have a good work ethic, right? That's different from trying to prove yourself, taking on extra work because you're trying to prove yourself. So the behavior is not what we're looking at. What we're looking at is what's going on inside of you that is making you show up like, quote unquote, the best employee. You're taking on extra assignments. You're skipping your break because you're like, I can handle it. I don't need to take a break. And you're showing up with all this enthusiasm to take on more responsibility. If you're healed and healthy, this could just be somebody who loves their job and loves the work. But if you're in your beginning stages of burnout, this is coming from a place of feeling inadequate, unworthy, and not competent. And so in order to feel good about yourself, you overwork. So it's kind of you have to be a little bit self-reflective here. If you're in the beginning stages of burnout, you're picking up extra shifts, you're working harder, you're skipping breaks, ask yourself, why am I doing this? Am I doing it because I have the extra energy? I feel good about picking up extra shifts. I honestly don't need as many breaks as they want me to take. I feel great. Okay, maybe you're not in burnout, but if you are picking up extra shifts, if you are skipping breaks with the goal of getting other people's approval, you're probably headed into the first stage of burnout, okay? Another thing that shows up when people are in the first stages of burnout is the inability to switch off or decompress after work. It can show up like anxiety or erratic energy, where some days you have a lot of energy, some days you don't. Because, again, it's coming from a place of feeling inadequate. And so the ability to turn that off and not worry about work, not feel anxious about everything that happened throughout a shift, you don't have that. If it were coming from a place of healed energy, it's easy to turn it off. Not easy necessarily. If you had a hard day is a hard day. But generally speaking, you can leave work at work, and when you're at home, you're at home. If you're in the beginning stages of burnout, it becomes difficult because you're trying to use work to feel better about yourself, to give yourself a sense of value. So if that's something that's happening to you, again, that might be that beginning stages of burnout. It also shows up, this first stage of burnout also shows up in neglecting your own needs. So you're not sleeping well, you are not taking time to exercise or make sure that you're getting nutrition, healthy nutrition. You're maybe not taking breaks at work, and you're becoming overly tired, and you're not, properly prioritizing your rest and your mental health. Again, if you're in a place of not feeling competent, if you're in a place of not feeling valuable or worthy, you're trying to overwork and prove yourself. So neglecting your own needs is just part and parcel with that. So again, if you're not sleeping well, if you are not taking care of yourself, then you're going to want to ask, okay, where is this coming from? Is this coming from a place of not feeling like I'm valuable, not feeling like my needs are important? You might be headed into that first stage of burnout. Now, the good thing about these first stages of burnout is if you can identify them with honesty and with a lot of self-reflection and a lot of self-awareness, most people can stop that burnout and put things into practice that support their wellness. So understanding that you are in a place of feeling inadequate, incompetent, and then doing some work around learning to love yourself, learning to view yourself as worthy, because you are. If you are a human with a beating heart and a functioning brain and people around you who love you, you're worthy. Okay, if you're drawing breath on this planet, then there is value in your life. Okay, the fact that you're here means you are just as worthy as every other human on the planet. So you doing more is not going to add more value to you. Now, there are people in the world who do think more transactionally, and if you do more for them, they may find you more valuable. But for your own mental wellness, don't be that person to yourself. Okay? So you might be in the habit of thinking, I'm more valuable if I pick up extra shifts, if I work harder, if I neglect my own needs. But that's a very slippery slope. That's the slope that leads into burnout. So all that to say, notice where your behaviors are coming from. Because the more you value yourself, the more you value your wellness, the less likely you are to slip into further stages of burnout. So let's talk about the middle stages of burnout and the behaviors that are characterized there. And then we will stop, and you can join me next week for the late stages and final stages of burnout. So the middle stages of burnout, it's kind of where I talk about denial. So the first stages, that has more to do with just working hard and pretending that you're fine, or believing that you're fine. You don't really see a problem generally, again, unless you can be self-reflective. Middle stage of burnout, this is where we see a lot of denial behavior. You're going to start doing a lot of displacement of conflicts. Basically, you're dismissing problems. You may feel a lot of anxiety in this stage. You may be very quick to become angry with people. In this stage, people tend to focus solely on work, stop doing hobbies. Friends and family are dismissed because, again, there's this belief that my value is in how hard I can work. Even if you're not thinking it consciously, it's happening subconsciously. And you're like, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to go out with friends. That's not what's important. What's important is that I pick up another shift. What's important is that I don't take any breaks. That's more important than me having a family night or engaging with my hobby or any of the other things that I claim are important to me. There's this revision of personal values that happens in the middle stage. And it's coming from this place of, I'm not okay, I'm not secure in who I am, so I'm trying to deny that there's a problem because you're headed into burnout. So you're like, well, I'm not going to admit that there's a problem. I'm just going to work harder. I'm going to push off if people are concerned about me. I'm going to not engage in my hobbies. I'm going to deny. The other thing that people can start to show is a lot of intolerance in this stage. So if you find yourself just constantly thinking, God, my coworkers are stupid. They can't work as hard as me. They're undisciplined. This might be that middle stage of burnout. A lot of cynicism, a lot of aggression. The nurses who are just constantly speaking poorly about other departments or about night shift and generally putting off this air of they're all idiots out there, right? They're all not doing it right. I'm smart. Everybody else is dumb. It's probably not that they're a witch. It's probably that they're in burnout and they're not secure they're starting to feel that slippery foundation. They don't have a nice solid foundation. And if this is you, this is a wonderful thing to be aware of, because when you're in this stage of denial, this is where if you can acknowledge it and get some help, you can live a much calmer and happier life. The trick is if you do not acknowledge it, if you do not address it now, it will slide into further problems. And just like with anything, with any disease process, with any mental health challenge, with any, project around the house, the more you ignore it, the harder it's going to fix when you are finally ready to address the problem. So if you're finding yourself in this middle stage where you've got a lot of anger, a lot of denial, this is a perfect time to sit down and really get curious about where is this judgment coming from? Where is this frustration coming from? Is it helpful, the things you're thinking about your coworkers? Is it helpful and true, the things you're thinking about the other shift, people in your family? They don't get it and they're not helpful. Is it true and is it helpful? Because it can be true and not helpful. If you are experiencing a lot of anger and frustration and irritability, is that how you want to live your life? If If you're happy in your anger and your frustration and your irritability, you're probably not listening to this podcast, but you're welcome to stay there. But if you don't like the feeling of being in stage 1, where you're overworking and you're trying to be everything to everyone and show up in the way that you believe a perfect worker, perfect nurse would show up, if you're not happy with that, now is the time to change it. If you're not happy in the middle stage of burnout, where you're denying there's a problem, you're always angry, trying to shove blame off on other people, and you're realizing you're living in this world of frustration and irritability, now is the time to get help. I love having conversations with nurses about what are you currently experiencing, and is that something that life coaching can help? I will say 98% of the time, it's something life coaching can help with. The other 2% of the time, I will support you and love you and give you all the recommendations in the world for where to go if I'm not the right person for you. Okay? So if you're in that early stage or middle stage and any of these things resonate with you, please reach out. My contact information is in the show notes. You're welcome to find me on Facebook, Aim for Greatness Coaching, Instagram, Aim for Greatness Coaching. I'm even occasionally on TikTok. So come find me. Let's have a conversation about your symptoms. What are you experiencing? And whether that's burnout or whether that's something else going on. And let's get you feeling more calm and more comfortable and more centered and understanding your true worth in the world. I will come back next week when we're going to talk about the late stage of burnout and the final stage of burnout. Dun, dun, dun. So in between, if you need help, you have questions, please get a hold of me and we will talk all about it. Thanks for listening today to Nurse Burnout Solutions. Remember, I really believe that all stress is manageable and burnout is not inevitable. If you are struggling with stress or in burnout, I can help. Check out the show notes for ways that we can connect and get you the support that you deserve.